Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of my Kung Fu experience in China. Let me start off by telling you how I got around to traveling 3,000 kilometers away from India just to learn Kung Fu. I met a friend called Yogi in the year 2018 who had been going to this particular school in China every year for a lot of years. He got me started with the practice in Bangalore, and that's when Shweta and I decided to travel all the way to China to dive deeper into this art. Qufu Shaolin Kung Fu School is located very close to Qufu city in the southwest of Shandong province. It was started by Wei Shifu, a 34th generation Shaolin disciple of the Shaolin temple. The main entrance, and you got all the rooms in that building. This is the main training area, outdoor training area. At the end you see the punching bags, the sandbags, bricks, etc. for conditioning. And this is the indoor training hall. Just a lot of space. And you also have the crash mats for the jumps and rolls class, and there's a small little gym here with weights. A typical day for us would start early in the morning with Tai Chi practice. After a quick breakfast break, we would then head back to the training ground for Shaolin basics. This was followed either by Shaolin forms, jumps and rolls, conditioning, or power stretching depending on the day. After a lunch and a rest break, the next training would be an elective. We actually got to choose between Sanda, which is Chinese kickboxing, Wing Chun, or Mantis boxing. Every Thursday would be reserved for Qigong meditation and power training, and another session of Tai Chi, and it was time for dinner. Now let's look at some of these sessions in a little bit more detail. Conditioning class was all about conditioning the muscles and the bones so that they are strong enough to withstand attacks as well as throw punches and kicks without actually hurting ourselves.
Sand feels like rock.
So it involved partner drills, isometric holds, and using sandbags, trees, hammers, etc. to condition different parts of the body. Jumps and rolls was like a gymnastic session where we practiced flips, rolls, aerials, and learning to land with minimum impact, which I think is very, very important when you're learning to fight. Power training pretty much involved strength training with partners, endurance runs around the school, uphill sprints and drills, and basically anything to get you fit. Tai Chi is considered an internal Chinese martial art, which is practiced for self-defense, meditation, as well as its health benefits. Even though it's slow-paced, it requires tremendous focus and breath work. The first two Shaolin forms that we learnt were the 5-step and continuous fist. Now, Shaolin forms are the equivalent of katas in karate, which are detailed patterns of movement that transition from one posture to the other, helping the students get better at these positions, which become the foundation for all the fancy forms that you would see an advanced practitioner display, including weapon forms. So the idea behind hitting each other, hitting the trees, hitting sandbags, holding push-up position with your fingers, holding a headstand on concrete, etc. is all about strengthening the skeletal musculature. So you're not only strengthening the muscles, but also all of the bones in your body. So what happens over a period of time is that as you keep practicing this, your bones get so strong that if you get hit on any particular day, you're not going to get knocked out. You're able to withstand the blow and maybe even retaliate. We would divide ourselves into groups of 3 or 4 and start power stretching. Now this is partner assisted stretches where we would try to push our bodies to the max, but of course making sure that we're warmed up before we start stretching. Probably the most brutal of all the classes was power training, because you really don't know what to expect. You really don't know what your Shifu is going to make you do that day. He could ask you to run up 1,000 stairs and come down doing a lizard crawl.
Or he could ask you to do 2,000 push-ups at once, or maybe 100 push-ups. So the thing is, you don't really know what to expect. So it's not only testing you physically, but also mentally. If you don't have the willpower for it, then you're definitely going to break. And another thing that it really does is prepare you for the unknown. Because most of the times when you're practicing or when you're training in the gym, you know how many reps and sets you're going to do. But here, you have no idea what to expect.
Come on. Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh.
You have to go through them.
Well done.
Now we make one.
Even though the Shaolin forms look like choreographed dancing, there's a lot more than what meets the eye. The reason why certain moves are practiced over and over again is because a martial artist needs to internalize these moves before he can actually start to fight. So if I practice the 5-step or the continuous fist 2,000 or 3,000 times, that's when my body is really going to internalize these things. As the legendary Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 1,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 1,000 times." Now that I think about it, it makes total sense, because if you are in a school for a limited period of time, you'd rather learn a limited amount of moves and practice them 1,000,000 times rather than trying to learn everything under the sun and really not being a master at anything.
Kung Fu class is not restricted to just Kung Fu. All the groups have to take turns to clean up. Sweaty Shweta getting some sweat off the floor. Just finished Tai Chi training in the morning. So let's actually talk about waking up early and kind of putting in the work. It's not really easy when it's almost 0 degrees and it's raining to wake up at around 5 o'clock. But sometimes you got to do it. So aside from the fact that obviously it's going to help you because you're going to wake up for training, you're going to train hard. But other than that, I think it builds a lot of character. Your willpower is going to be tested. And I think it helps you in areas of life which is not just training, because when you make that decision to wake up, in spite of it being really hard, when the sun's not up, it's cold, you want to stay under the blanket, you are basically doing something that pretty much your body and your mind is fighting. So when you make that decision, because you know it's the right thing to do, I think it's going to go a long way. Not just, as I said, in training, but otherwise. So especially if you're somebody who procrastinates, and to be honest, I do procrastinate, so that's again a habit that I'm trying to change. And I think just waking up early, making these small decisions which you might not want but you know it's the right thing to do, is going to go a long way. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned, because the next one is coming out soon and it's going to involve a lot more of the action in Qufu Shaolin Kung Fu School.